Mike James här.
Mike James ska komma in och byta plats med Jonas. Tack ska du ha. Och statistik, alltså hur kul låter det? Då kan man ju tycka så här, det är bara en massa siffror. I think stats, it's a lot of numbers. It's not, it's boring. It seems boring. But Mike James, you are a tennis coach and an analyst. Could you please present yourself in a few words?
Yeah, so for the last 4 years I've specialised in, I'll take the mic, for the last 4 years I've specialised in analytics and stats because I came from a background of a playing level that wasn't professional, and I wanted to, when I was going through the levels as a coach and starting to work on the tour, I can't do what Magnus did, which was say I was number 2 in the world and played all the Grand Slams, and from experience I can't give that, but with numbers I can present facts. So it was really to create buy-in and to give the professionals that I was working with the GPS to go in the right direction, basically. So that was, in the last 4 years, that's what I've been doing, travelling between 20 and 30 weeks on tour with Claudio Pistolesi and the players there. And really, I think it's going to become more normal in tennis for this to spread around the tour with numbers, because there used to be a myth in tennis where you feel good or you feel bad, and that's based on performance, but actually we know that there are numbers that are connected to winning.
I think you can hold the mic a little bit closer to him. Would you say that tennis is behind other sports?
Basically, yes. I think if you look at American sports, you look at NFL, you look at baseball, they are maybe 10 years ahead of us, and I think we're catching up. But data only came into tennis in 1992, so we're still in that process of learning about the game, and also the game has trends. So the game sort of does cycles. So 25 years ago, serve and volley was happening a lot, and then we had lots of players going back behind the baseline, and now we're getting players close to the baseline again, playing very, very fast. So I think we're getting there, but we're still way behind the American sports.
And you told me tennis is about 1 to 4 points.
Yes.
Not more.
Not. There are more, but the winning zone in tennis, we know that the average tennis match is played between 0 and 4. 70% of the points are 0 and 4. So if you can get over the line past 54% of that zone, you'll win the match 9 times out of 10. So there's the zone. So the serve, the return, and then the first ball and the second ball. If you can be a sniper and you can be a little bit more deadly in that zone, you're going to have better results.
And Magnus, you are working with Stan Wawrinka, as everyone knows, and you have a lot of help from Mike.
Yeah, well, I was also very interested to learn more about statistics and numbers. You know, I think look at it from the coach's perspective. I think a lot of the coaches on the ATP tour and WTA tour is now working with some sort of strategy behind the play, the numbers. You know, what's the odds if I do this? What's the odds if I do that? You know, so. Yeah, so I reached out to Mike because we have common friends, and I know that you're a good coach, not only good analytics and not only good with the numbers, but you're also a tennis coach, which I think is quite important. So my idea working with Stan was obviously to try to see what Stan did. I had obviously something in my mind, looking at Stan before the injury. The big injury, but I also want to look at him after the injury. What did he do good before the injury, and what is he doing less good after the injury? So that was a little bit the input to you, Mike, when we started working together last year, end of last year, and maybe you can. And I wanted to have that feedback before the off season, before the pre-season, working towards this season. You know, so without going into details, I think I found. Of all the hours that we did together, I think I found like 3 or 4 really valuable things that we could take to the off season, and that we could really work on, and those were like really specific things for me as a coach. And I think looking at Stan this year, I think he's improved, and we have been talking a lot about those 3-4 things during the whole year, which I think helps. So for me, looking at the broader picture a little bit, but then also sometimes before a specific match, you can I can reach out to you, Mike, and I can say, okay, Stan is playing player X. What do you have anything on this player? Can you please prepare something for me before the match? So looking at different types of patterns, where to serve, and so on. So yeah, it's been really helpful, I think.
But can you name one or two details that you saw before and after his injury?
We spoke a lot about the court position. Obviously, he was a little bit further back in the court after the injury, so we spoke about that. We spoke about the returns a little bit, especially on the forehand side. We spoke a lot about blocking versus hitting, getting over the returns. So yeah, a few specific things. Yeah, and now obviously also Mike is here this week because I also want him to take a look at our players here, to see what are they doing good, how are they winning the points, when are they losing the points, and so on. So yeah, it's been very helpful.
Mike, can you say anything about what you have seen those 3 first days here in Qatar Open?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is they've got good to great. They've got a lot of young players around 03 that are doing really well, and I think again going into statistics, and you move the numbers into strategy and tactics. And then the next level for me is what baseball and NFL are doing, is player development. So actually taking juniors and steepening the learning curve, actually making them understand the game faster. And I think if you can do that, you can cut a lot of hours out and get to the point. Videoing a match and looking at the stats is like an MRI scan when you go to the hospital, and you can go as deep as you want to go and in any direction. So I think this is huge for the next stage. I think in player development, using video, using strategy, to make the young players nowadays are on the phone a lot and on the social media a lot. We're on social media now, so giving them this sort of information, I think is going to speed their learning curve for sure.
Yeah. I want the tennis statistics to be there, and I want the fitness coach to be there at the same time, and you can speak about it. And I also want, of course, the tennis coach to be there. So this is the development team around the player. So if you can have the numbers, you can compare it to the numbers from the fitness test. You can see the observation from the tennis coach, and this is how you create a team around the player. And this is what we want to do here. Not only to have a few numbers and then you don't really know what to do with the numbers, but you have to have a discussion with the tennis coach. Okay, you're saying that he's winning 75% of his points when he's running around his forehand, or you see a different pattern, and then the tennis coach will say, yeah, I saw this too. And then the fitness coach is saying, yeah, but he is not powerful enough, or he's powerful but he's not, his power endurance is not good enough, so we have to put more focus on this. And this is how you can zoom in and steep the learning curve a little bit, like you said.
And when we saw a few matches this morning, we saw a lot of frustrated players because they lose a point or they lose 2 points. And then you told me about Nadal, how many points he loses during a year. Tell us.
Yes. Well, yeah, the stat that I gave you earlier is Nadal has won 12 French Opens. I think I'm right now. It's tough to remember. And he's won 54% of the points. So 46% of points he's lost. So he's losing, even the greatest clay court player ever is losing nearly half. So it's when are you winning the points, and what points are you winning, and how are you winning them is going to make a huge difference to you. And like Magnus said, in that developing, steepening the learning curve to make them understand the game. It's okay to be in a period, we're in a game that is not got a clock on the watch. You could be playing for 1 hour or 3 hours. So it's okay to have a 10-minute period maybe where you're a little bit down. If you can come back, you decide how long you're out there for. So it's huge.
This is one of the biggest things that I see comparing the top 100 players, top 30 players compared to this tournament. The players get frustrated too easily, and it's like tennis is like chess, or it's like a poker game. You cannot show so much emotions. You see after 2-3 games that the players are like throwing rackets or showing the other guy that I'm frustrated, I'm fragile, I'm whatever. So this is one of the biggest thing. And the second biggest thing I think is they're playing a lot from the baseline. You don't see a lot of players moving forward. So this is also one big thing that I see is a big difference. You see you're speaking about the effective ball versus the non-effective ball, where the best players in the world, when they even if they have a non-effective ball, is a ball where it's no spin on the ball, it's flat and it's quite dead. Effective ball is where it's spin on the ball and it's bouncing and it's bouncing away. And on the top 30 players in the world, they only play with spin all the time, and they are attacking balls that are short, and they are also starting to attack the ball that are deeper. You know, but these players sometimes, if there's a short ball, they wait for the ball to drop and then they spin it back again. You know, and this against good guys, they're gonna be dead if they do this. You know, so they have to learn to see, okay, this is it's an effective ball with spin, but it's a short ball, so I need to attack it instead of just waiting and rolling it back. These are the two main things, I think. These players, they don't move forward and they show too much emotions, too much negative emotions, too fast. You know.
And we hear it all the time now when we're sitting here. They're shouting. 1 to 4 points.
Yes.
The same on the women's side as the men's side.
Yes. Yeah. Again, there's a myth that the women's game is a different game. They're playing like a different sport, and the numbers are very, very close together. So again, the top women in the world are the ones that can tend to crack the ball more and get the point done early. So like Magnus talked about, you know. There's a myth again, going side to side and being physically fit, cardio-wise, is the way to win. But you need to be unbelievable vertically, because if the point is short and you can be vertical and you can be powerful, it's a huge bonus. So the women's game is the same in the men's regards to numbers, absolutely.
And when it comes to surface, is it different patterns on clay and hard court or grass?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, again, the numbers of rally length and these sort of numbers and serve percentages and return percentages don't really change on the surface. Patterns change a little bit more, but also you have to remember tennis is played indoor hard, outdoor hard, altitude, non-altitude. It's a cold day, it's a hot day. That tends to affect the numbers more than the actual surface.
Yeah. And Mike, Wawrinka is playing Djokovic, 3-all. Djokovic is 15-40 down on his serve. Where does he serve?
I can't tell you this. But the thing is, if you know, it helps. If you know, then at that level, the guys are so fast at responding to changes. If they know and they have the game plan, you know, I know the player at 15-40 is going to go wide 80% of the time. That can be worth a lot.
Yeah. And you have been helped a lot from Mike, of course. And what do you see in the future with analyzing in tennis? Will it grow more and more?
I think so. I mean, almost all the players now using it for day-to-day basis, every match or at some periods of the year. So I think it's going to grow, and I think it's also, that's why we have you here this week too. I think it's also going to grow at younger ages, like to work with player development, to get the player to understand a little bit more how am I winning my points, and what's my player profile. Am I an attacking player? Am I a baseline attacking player, serve and volley player, counter puncher? You know, what kind of player profile do I have, and link that together with the fitness and the tennis coach, together with the statistics. I think it's the way to go forward for sure. It's not gonna make it or break it. It's not like wow, if I have my numbers, I'm gonna be all of a sudden top 100 in the world. No, it's not gonna do that. But it's gonna steepen the learning curve a little bit, like you phrase it, Mike. And yeah, I think it's only going to do good for the young players as well, especially.
And Mike, what do you say about the future for tennis? I mean, how do you think the tennis will be played in 10 years, 15 years? Will we see serve and volley more again, or?
That's a great question. And I think, like I said earlier, tennis goes in cycles. It always depends on what they do with the balls, with the court surfaces. I think technology is here to stay. And like Magnus said, it's only going to grow. Smart court technology, the physical side now, what we know about the physical development of juniors and seniors is way more than 20 years ago. So you put all of this together, and I think the level of tennis will still keep going up. I think we're not at the peak. We see Rafa, Roger, Stan, Novak playing video game tennis, but I still think we're not finished yet. So it's exciting.
also at that age. I mean, they are way over 30. When I was playing, it was if you play over 30, you were like no chance, you know. But it's because also when I was growing up, we lifted weights and we went we lifted weights in the gym and we went out in the forest and we ran until we puked, you know, more or less. But now you see it's way more sophisticated. It's way more flexibility, mobility. Is much more specific, and that's the reason why they're not injured as much, of course. And nutrition also. When I was growing up, we had pasta. We were eating pasta. I don't know how many spaghetti bolognese I've had in my career, but it's quite a few. And now it's different now. You know, the players they take more care of themselves. They traveling with nutritionists. They are traveling with the fitness coach, with the physio, so and team. So that's the reason why they're playing longer.
But can they?
Wrong with spaghetti bolognese.
But Magnus, can they hit harder in the future?
Yeah, it depends on the technology also, but yeah, why not? If you start to look like yesterday night, we had a throwing clinic. We had a baseball pitcher coming in, and why is it that how can they get so much power of the when throwing? So maybe we can look at different angles, and he can teach us how to throw better. And if we throw better, we know it's a big correlation between serving speed. So yeah, all those small things can add up and be something big. It's not like that's not going to change the career, and the statistics is not going to change the career. But if you do all those things, and it's going to add up to something good, I think.
Thomas Johansson was a big thrower.
Yeah, huge. Could throw a rock like out of the stadium here. He was and he was serving quite well good as well. So.
And we talked about we don't see that much serve and volley anymore. Has the game become too slow? Do you think so?
I think it's become a little bit one-dimensional. So all the surfaces are playing equally the same speed. So I think that's a big topic on the ATP and WTA tour, that they want to have different speed of the surfaces. And I think we already see Australian Open is moving to a little bit faster. The last 2 years has been a little bit faster, in my opinion. So I think they're going to change globally. How they resurface the courts. I think, and yeah. But it's interesting to dig into performance and to development. I think on Friday we're going to speak a little bit about fitness training. And try to dig in a little bit deeper on that as well. How we test the players and how can we develop that. So I think it's an interesting topic, and I think we're going to see a lot of different speed in the courts.
And the stats, what is not so boring that I thought from the beginning. And Mike, I'll let you have the last word and speak free from your heart. What do you think about analyzing and stats in tennis?
No, I just think analytics is here to stay, and I think we're still in the infancy of knowing these key performance indicators. So I think tennis is still going to grow and be more developed in the next 5 to 10 years, and I'm very excited about being a part of that, being a part and working with Magnus of the Academy here and seeing what we can do here. I think we can do something very, very special here.
But I must ask you, then you work on the academies and with special players, but do you know, are there any federations that have analysis?
Yes, some of the bigger federations in the UK, USTA, they have full teams of analysts, 15, 20 guys working in their bunkers, and again, I think we're getting closer to like my home team is Leicester City, that won the Premier League 3 years ago. I have to get that in, and they have 3 analysts per age group. So we're way behind those sports, but I think eventually we will have, and we have everything here with the videos, the classroom to start to get players learning and look at the playbook off the court, not just on the court.
But yeah.
On that topic, Harry Vendelken, who is playing just behind our back here, is set up to Sam Taylor, but down 4-1 in the second. He's British, and he's part of the LTA national squad. Yeah. So, and he's coached at the academy by Peter Karlsson. So Peter is working closely together with LTA when it comes to video. Also, Harry will get not all his matches, but a lot of matches analyzed by LTA. So Good to Great has a good collaboration with LTA also and their video analyzing team. So is federation using it? Yes, a lot of federations using it. USTA, they invested a system called PlaySite on all the courts at the national campus in Orlando, so they're using it a lot. LTA obviously have a whole squad of people using it, so yes, federation is using it. If you don't use it, you're falling behind.
I don't know how to put it, Mike, but if tennis is like chess and it's more like a TV game now, but if the players are hitting harder and harder and they know how to play every point themselves and they know how the opponent play every point, don't you lose some fantasy, or do you know what I mean? That you think yourself, I must play this point this way. If they know everything before, do you know what I mean? I'm old. I'm an old guy.
Do you know, that thought process has crossed my mind. But what I would say is it gives them so much confidence, the level goes up. So if they know these things, their level just increases, and for the spectator, it's a better viewing. So it's better.
Where can we follow you?
Yeah, so I set up a company called sportianalytics.com. You can check our website out, and yeah, you can find me on social media, Mike James. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Mike.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Ja, vad intressant. Alltså jag som tycker det här, när jag tittar på statistik, då tittar jag hur många serves gör John Isner och hur många serve först